Did you know that the more hours we work in a week, the less productive we become? And doesn't that concern you a little? Considering, we're busy, right? We're moms, we got kids, we're running around doing stuff. So, hey, in this episode, I actually want to give you some tips and some strategies on how you can get more done in less time. All right, grab a pen and paper. I'll see you on the other side. Are you tired of a life of mediocrity, barely surviving the month and always feeling overwhelmed and stretched? Do you dream of brighter days where you show up calm and present for your loved ones, never again sacrificing family time for overtime? What would it be like if you had the time, money, and peace so you could make the greatest impact and live the most fulfilling life? If this sounds good to you, you're going to love this podcast. My name is Melanie Bourbeau, and I'm a wife, a mom of young adults. I'm an educational assistant by day and a mind and money mentor by night. I'm super excited to help you be the boss of your time and your money so that you can make the impact you've been called to make. Her name is Sonika. She is now a digital nomad with location freedom, meaning that she can live wherever she wants. But that wasn't always her story. Back in 2020, after a couple deaths in her family, her and her husband both had lost their jobs, and they were deep in debt and emotionally drained. They took a leap of faith and they jumped into digital marketing. From there, they paid off $22,000 in debt, and in 2024, as of now, they've already made over $30,000. So she has a powerful story, but that could be your story. If you want to know how to tap into the exact same digital program that she has used to get to this kind of level of income and freedom, then just head on over to dailypaidblessings.com. Put in your email. You're going to have access to a couple videos right away, and that'll explain the program, explain how it works and all those things. And then you'll also be on my email automation. Don't worry, I won't sell that name to anyone. That'll just simply be for me, and I won't bombard you with emails. But I will be sending you, a newsletter once a week just to keep you up to date on what's happening and tips and things for you to be able to improve your finances and make better use of your time. So head on over to dailypaidblessings.com and you can find out more there. Take care. Hey friend, welcome back. I love to watch people. I love to watch all kinds of people doing all kinds of things, but especially those that I want to learn from. I want to watch to make sure that what they are teaching me is how they're living, because to me, it's really important that the two line up. And, I remember watching this big guru, he was talking all about passive income and making money, and living a life of freedom. And yet this man worked, 80 to 100 hours a week. And he was stressed out and he was anxious and all of these things. And I remember thinking, I can't learn from him because I don't want to be like him. I don't want my life to look like that, actually. And so I think it's really important that we pay attention, because did you know, this is something that really, really startled me. Two facts. The first one was that a 60-hour work week could results in a 25% decrease in productivity. That came from CNN.com. So meaning the more that we work, the less productive we become. And I just thought, oh my word, that's crazy. And another stat that kind of really struck me and sort of hurt my heart actually was that it says that this came from Harvard Business Review, and it says that 45% of high earning managers are too tired to converse with their spouse after a long day of work. The strain is wreaking havoc on family and personal lives. That breaks my heart. That absolutely breaks my heart, because time is so precious, and our loved ones are only with us for really, truly a short amount of time, right? Kids grow up, our parents get old, we lose touch with friends, all of these things. It takes time to make relationships be more rich and more fulfilling, therefore making our lives be more rich and more fulfilling. And so I thought it was really important that I do a podcast on how to manage time, like time management tips for busy parents, because you are the one that is got the most influence on your kids when they're still in your home. So I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about some laws of success, because I think we need to pay attention to what these laws are in order for us to get our priorities straight so that we know what to do with our time. So I hope that makes sense. So the first law of success, and I learned these from a coach by the name of Danny Johnson. I used to go to her First Steps to Success events. I loved them. I think she's retired, but anyway, her events were always really good. But anyway, so I learned these from her. And she talks about so the first one is law of focus. So when your focus is scattered or split, you end up wasting time. But when you're focused, it takes less time to get things done. So we have to get really good at being focused. And that means focusing our time, focusing our energy and our time. The other one, another law, is the law of reaping and sowing. And this one states that what you have today is a direct result of what you have sown in the past. So if you want to get better results, you have to focus on doing the actions today, right? And getting the results tomorrow, because you can't put seed in the ground and expect to get a harvest in a day, right? It takes time, but we have to get good at reaping and sowing. What are we planting in order for us to have a harvest later on? Now, the other one is a law of promotion. And this one says that if you can be trusted with what's right in front of you right now, then you will be made ruler over much. So my question is, what are you doing with the time and the resources that you have right now? Are you stewarding them well, or are you wasting them? And the last one that we're going to talk about today is law of vision. So, this is another sad statistic that really kind of makes me, I don't know, just want to do more podcasting and more stuff to get the message out. But 98% of the population shrink their dreams to match their income, and only 2% find ways to increase their income so that they can make their dreams happen. Isn't that a sad number? 98% will just go, yeah, can't do it. Sorry. 2% will go, wait a minute. I want to make that happen. How can I do it? So I don't know about you, but I want to be in the 2%. I want to be in that 2% that is actually going ahead and making my dreams happen. So it's important for each of us to know what our vision is, because the greatest success book ever written, which to me is the Bible, says a man without a vision will perish. So if we don't know where we're going, or what our life, what we want our life to look like, we're going to end up just floundering around and doing nothing with it. We're going to just waste our whole life. And I'm sure people, as well as I do, that have regretted, they've come to the end of their life and they've regretted it, going, oh my goodness, I wish I would have, or I wish I wouldn't have, right? Like I wish I would have changed that one thing. So vision is very, very important. So that's our first kind of tip today is looking at the laws of success. And what does that have to do with time management? Well, we're going to look at your goals. So now this was an area that was always kind of a stressor for me, was goal setting. I have to admit, I always struggled against it, because I always felt like I didn't want to be boxed in, or I didn't want to be, like stuck in a little pinhole in case something else happened. I wanted to be able to do something different. But what I realized in all those years of not setting goals is that I didn't get anywhere. Like I would dream about having this or having that, or going there or doing that. But if I never actually took the time to start to take steps in that direction, many, many times it would just pass by, years would pass by, and you go, man, I was going to do that. How come I didn't actually ever get that done? So what I want to do is I want you to have some tangible ways to manage your time. And again, after we're looking at those laws, right, we have to look at our time, how we're using it, our vision, like all of those things. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to list out all your goals. Now, I've had different mentors tell me that you should only focus your goals. You should focus goals 90 days at a time, because 30 days is not enough. And anything more than 90 days can seem like you have too much time. So then you don't actually do what is needed to reach that goal. So 90 days. So you want to work out 3 months at a time. And also only 3 goals at a time. So I'm going to give you some categories of areas that you could have goals in. And it's best, this one lady told me three goals at a time. I've heard other people say up to 5. So I will leave that with you, but I want you to get a highlighter, 5 different, or however many goals you're going to write out today. I want you to get a highlighter of different colors for each one of those goals, because you're going to put these goals into categories. And here's the categories. So it can be spiritual, family, work or business, financial, and fun or personal. So these are the different categories. Once you know your goal in that particular category, I want you to pick a color for it. And because you're going to take and you're going to write out, you're going to highlight those goals in accordance with the category. So let's say if it was spiritual, like let's say you had a spiritual goal and you chose blue, then those whatever goals you have in that category are going to be blue. Because we're going to take those and we're going to do something with them. So when you have those figured out, list out your goals and the categories, and you have your highlighters ready. Now I want you to get a blank calendar. And I just went on, like I've done this for myself, and I just went on Google and printed out a blank calendar with no dates. And then I just write it in myself. Or you can use a day timer. I like doing that as well. I have a day timer, like just a desktop one that sits on my desk, and I could color it as I see fit. And I really like that as well, because it does keep me a little bit more focused. So you can choose to do whichever way you want. You can even actually do it in a Google Calendar. You can actually highlight things in different colors. I love paper and pen, so for me that's the way to go. But some people don't do that. They like everything on the computer or on an app. And then, so in that case, you can use the Google or whatever calendar, whatever digital calendar you're using, and you can highlight these categories or these goals. So as I said, you want to work in 3-month increments. So, start this month, next month, and the month after. Get your highlighters. So now what I want you to do is so let's say, for instance, I'm going to give you some more ideas. Some ideas about these colors. So let's say, for instance, like I mentioned, you're going to use blue for spiritual. So now you want to set in your day timer, you want to set out time that is specifically dedicated to growing in your spiritual life. For me, that is first thing in the morning, every single day. That is, I spend an hour to an hour and a half, usually, probably on average an hour and a half. I sometimes like to do more, but, and so I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Because I want to have this done before I actually have to get ready to go to work. And so that to me is like, that's a no-brainer. That has got to be fit into my day. There's no way around that. And then I also I take a day of rest, the Sabbath, which is on a Saturday. And so that is a day that I mark that whole day off in blue, because that's a day of really, truly drawing close to the Lord and just deepening my spiritual walk. So that's that way. Now, if you're married, you could choose pink if you want, or purple, whatever. And you want to sit down with your spouse and you want to schedule some time weekly for a date night. Whether that means you're going out for supper, or you're just going to, have a date at home, just the two of you, or whatever, but you want to have some time for your spouse. And so that you color that in first thing, right? So now you got you put the most important things into your calendar first. And I like, when I was learning from Danny Johnson, she always said, and I think this is brilliant, is like, God comes first, then your spouse, then your kids, and then your business or your work, finances, and finally, then your personal and your fun. So anyway, you can pick however that looks for you to make this be the most fulfilling for you. But so now you've got your spiritual time put aside, and you've got time with your spouse colored in and set aside. And now let's say orange could be for your children. And so you want to, first thing, you want to highlight all your evening meals together, right? Or whenever you have, hopefully you always have a meal together every day. That I hope that happens, because that's a really important part of, building relationships with your kids. And so you color that in first. And then you also want to have some time set aside for fun times with your kids. So if you're going to watch a movie, or if you're going to play games, or if you're going to go, for a hike or whatever, color those times in as well. Highlight those with your orange color, if that's the color you choose for your family. And then green would be for your working hour. So if you have a job still, you want to, like let's say you work 8 to 5, but you get an hour for lunch. You want to go 8 to 12, color, make sure that's blocked in as green. And then 1 to 5, make sure that's blocked in as green. But then you leave your dinner or your lunch break or any other break that you get at work, you leave it as white space. And I'm going to talk about white space in a second. But so now you've got, and whether you work like outside the home or you work in the home or whatever, you want to have that time specified, like when you actually do that. And then white space. Now, white space, you want to have white space because this is the flexible time. This is what you do, when you do the other things that are important to you, right? So this could be your health building time. This could be your business building time if you wanted to start a side business so that you can eventually leave your full-time job or something like that. You have to devote time to that as well, right? So now you can look at your calendar on a week-to-week basis and you can go, okay, like I can fit business time in there. I can fit business time in there. I can fit business time in there, right? And so or you can actually, if you know when you can devote that time, then you can put that in as another color too, if you want, right? So that is how you kind of, when I learned this, I have to tell you, when I learned this, I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 little kids, and I felt like I never had any time to get anything done. I felt like I was always going in a million directions. There's always something that had to be done with the kids or in the home. And I found that I didn't have time for myself, which made me not a very good mom. I would get irritable and really short with the kids because, I just was overwhelmed. That's truly where I was. And when I first heard this about this whole time blocking thing and, setting goals and things like that, I thought, man, are you kidding me? If that works, like as these people say it works, this is going to save my life. And truly, I started doing it. I started time blocking. And it just freed up so much of my mental capacity and it just brought so much more joy to my life because now I knew that I was going to get things done. Now, okay, I get it. With little kids, things don't always go as expected or as planned, but at least, if one day goes off the rails, at least you have the other days in the week to hopefully keep things together. So another bonus tip I want to give you is, and this is quite a scary thing, but if you actually sit down and write out what you do with your time in a whatever 24-hour period or 3 or 4 day period or maybe the whole week, some people do the whole month, you will be astonished at how much time is actually wasted and how much time goes to things that are not moving you closer to your goals. It's really quite astonishing to see how much time, at least for me, maybe you're different than me, but I wasted a lot of time. And so when I did that exercise of actually, writing things down or writing having an activity sheet where I took notes of what I did with my time, all of a sudden now I'm like, whoa, I wasted time there. I wasted time there. And once you become aware of something, it's much easier to change it, right? Because if you don't know what you're up against, it's really hard to make any changes. So I really, really pray that this blesses you, my friend. And you know what I would love to do? This podcast is still really new and I would love to get some feedback. And I'm thinking about putting up a Google form. So I'm going to get that done here in the next couple days, get a Google form, because I would just love to find out what you need, what you want in the way of content. And so it'll just be a little Google form, and it won't go anywhere but to me. So I will, when I get that done, I will put a link in my show notes. And if you wouldn't mind filling that out for me, that would be so helpful, because the more that I know about what you need and you want, the more I can help you. So that's all I have for today. Take care, and I will catch you next week. God bless. Have you been blessed by this episode? Has it touched you or inspired you or taught you something? If so, would you take 30 seconds, and write a written review? Not only does it warm our heart to hear from you, but it also lets us know that we're giving you what you need. And it also helps other people find the podcast that may need this kind of information as well. And remember, beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Take care, my friend, and God bless.